And welcome to another Mark Bishop Show. You know, folks, more than 80% of consumers are negatively impacted by inflation. Are we what? And my special guest for this podcast will discuss with me the latest data from the Harris poll and why consumers are open to a buy now but pay later model. Laura Adam, she's an author and host of the Money Girl podcast. I'd like to welcome you to my show, Laura.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
Well, inflation is a growing worry for Americans across the country. Many people are putting off expenses like dental work and home repairs because of financial concerns. In fact, according to a new Harris poll, more than two-thirds of U.S. consumers, that's 67%, have delayed necessary services purchases, due to inflation. So what say you, Money Girl?
Yeah, it's very disturbing. We know that 81% of Americans say they feel financially squeezed right now. As you mentioned, the Sunbit survey found a lot of, really interesting information. And I think what stood out to me about this study is that 67% are delaying necessary services, as you mentioned. So we're talking about going to the dentist, going to the doctor, getting your car repaired, making repairs at home. These are very necessary purchases that Americans are going without right now because they are really feeling financially hurt by inflation. So it's a growing problem, and we know that a lot of people can't cover unexpected expenses. Many people don't have $400 in the bank to cover unnecessary expenses. So we're here really talking about ways to buy necessary purchases, important purchases, in a way that may be more affordable for you. So I would encourage folks to think about if you do have to use credit, especially right now when interest rates are rising, maybe using a credit card is not the best option. You may want to consider a buy now, pay later option like Sunbit. In most cases, it's going to be lower interest rates, more flexibility, going to give you more transparency. And Sunbit is available in over 13,000 locations nationwide for life necessary purchases. Again, things like the dentist, the doctor, getting the car repaired, getting new eyeglasses, going to the vet. So consider different ways to get the purchases that you really need the most and just get on with your life.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, those that do get affected when you've got something, as critical as this. I mean, these numbers you're talking about, 67%, 81% of various categories. It's the small businesses that suffer as well. And, with an annual household income of $100,000, they're more likely, those particular people, according to the poll, with an annual household income of less than $75,000. So if you're down to that, you're very likely to finance necessary services, it says, in the next 6 months. So, okay, let me ask you this then. If you were to explain the buy now but pay later model and why financing is an option consumers should consider for other reasons.
Yeah. So the buy now, pay later option means that you get the services that you need today, and you've got the option for how you want to repay it. So if you, let's say, choose a very short-term option, you may even get no interest, 0% interest on that repayment. I mean, that's amazing. If you want to repay over a longer period, you've got that flexibility to choose the repayment term that makes sense for you. So it allows you to get the necessary purchase today, choose how you want to repay it, and ultimately save money because you're going to be, in most cases, getting a lower interest rate than other options. If you put something on a credit card, a high interest rate credit card, and it takes you many years to repay, what that means is that service that you purchased could really end up costing double or even triple the original cost, depending on how long it takes you to pay off the credit card. So that's going to make that purchase more expensive. What Sunbit offers is a way to get the purchases that you need today, but make it cost as little as possible. And that's essential right now as people are struggling to really meet everyday needs and they're cutting back on wants, they're cutting back on needs. So we say, don't cut back. If those are things that you really need, you need the car repaired to get to work, or you need the dental work done to improve your quality of life, be thoughtful about how you're using credit. Get those services today, but just make them cost as little as possible.
Well, this new study, Laura, conducted by Harris on behalf of Sunbit, has found that consumers are interested in the buy now. Tell us a little bit more about Sunbit. Why shouldn't I just go to the bank and take that huge interest rate? Who was Sunbit? I've never heard of them,
Yes, as you mentioned, about 70% of the recent respondents to the survey said, yes, I'm interested in using a buy now, pay later option for necessary services. The problem is many people don't know those options are available. So Sunbit is a financing option. Think about it kind of like taking out a short-term loan. It's a way to get the necessary purchases that you need today with the flexibility to repay it in a way that makes sense for you. Sunbit is available in over 13,000 locations nationwide. So you may want to think about doing a little research ahead of time. Let's say you need your car repaired or you need to go to the dentist. Do a little research. Go to sunbit.com. Find out where Sunbit is available, and that may help you choose a provider, knowing that financing option will be available there for you. Also, if you're out and about and you're making a purchase, maybe taking the dog to the vet or getting new eyewear, ask your provider if they offer Sunbit and understand that it's just one option that you've got for getting that service that you need. I'm not a big fan of using buy now, pay later for wants or luxuries, buying a luxury handbag or shoes, for instance.
Right.
But I am a big fan on using buy now, pay later for necessary purchases. And that's what Sunbit specializes in. We're available in different service providers that are giving you the services that you really need for quality of life so that you can make those purchases and kind of get on with your day-to-day life, knowing that you've been able to do something that is good for you, good for your, let's say, your vehicle, good for your pet, kind of moving on with your life.
Well, as you can hear, folks, Laura Adams is one of the nation's leading finance, insurance, and small business authorities, as well as an award-winning author, spokesperson, and host of the top-rated Money Girl podcast. And this is back since 2008. So what are we in, 22? That's a lot of years. That's why she's got millions of readers, listeners, and loyal fans, and they all benefit from her practical advice, and so should you. Sunbit.com. In fact, her mission is to empower consumers. Why? To live healthy and rich lives by making the most of what they have, planning for the future, and making smart money decisions, which we need to do every day right now. So before leaving us, Laura, if you wouldn't mind, what else should consumers be doing to safeguard their finances?
Yeah, right now it's so important to be living within your means. So trying to cut back, if you find that you are financing a lifestyle that you can't afford, think about services that you're really not using. Maybe they're subscription services, things that you can cut back right now and make some sacrifices to live within your budget, to live within your means. Also, look at your debt. Make a plan to pay off your debt. I always recommend folks look at it in order of interest rate. So tackling your debt in order of highest to lowest interest rate is going to save you the most money in interest. Then you can use that savings to pay off your debt even faster. So evaluating, knowing who you owe, how much you owe, and what interest rate you're paying is critical. Right now, as interest rates have been going up, that means our credit cards are getting more expensive because they're variable rate. They fluctuate with interest rates. So those debts may be costing you even more than you realize. So evaluate them and make a plan to tackle those debts in order of high to low interest rate. That's really going to benefit your finances the most.
Wonderful, wise advice, Laura. No wonder you've got a lot of followers, a lot of readers, a lot of listeners to your podcast, which, of course, I gather is on all of the major national apps if people want to find you.
It is. Thank you so much. I would love for your listeners to check out the Money Girl podcast. We're a weekly show, and we talk about all things related to personal finance and small business.
Absolutely fantastic. And don't forget, listeners, Sunbit, Sunbit, all the answers, even in your pajamas with a nice cup of joe. Sunbit.com, it'll give you the answers. Thank you, my special guest, Laura Adam, author, host of Money Girl. Lovely speaking with you.
Thank you for having me.